friends, welcome back. So today I'm bringing you guys another video, and this is going to be a tutorial on this very intense look that I'm wearing right here. I am using the new Morphe 3502 palette, which I'm so excited to finally put to use. I do own the original Morphe 3500 and I do really like that palette, but I basically felt like I needed this palette for one reason and one reason alone, and that's because of the matte black. I'm not the biggest fan of Morphe eyeshadows just because I feel like their lighter shadows, like their transition shades, are really good. Their metallics I really do enjoy, but I feel like their darker matte shadows could be way better. Now, the black in this palette is actually pretty good, so that's going to be the exception for me. Otherwise, I think the darker shadows could definitely use some work. So if you guys also like the way that this looks and you would like to find out how I got it, then please just keep on watching. Hi. Hi. So before I actually start this tutorial, I need to give a shout out to Morphe for actually putting names on these shadows. I feel like it makes it so much easier than just saying, oh, this peach shade in the corner and this yellow shade. I feel like I'm really happy for them. So the first color that I took is the color Universal. Of course you can't see the names, but if you get the palette, you get the insert, you'll see the name, so it'll be okay. So I grabbed the color Universal with a Morphe G17, which is just a fluffy brush, and I just use this as our transition shade. Just toss this in the crease. I actually love this transition shade. I think it would work for every single skin tone. I'm pretty sure that's why it's called Universal. So then I grabbed a MAC 217 with the color Brick, which is just a warm orange shade, and I'm just using this kind of more focused into the crease. I'm not really starting on my cut crease just yet. I'm just kind of laying down a base first. Now to actually map out the cut crease, I'm grabbing the color In the Zone, which is like a medium warm brown. I'm grabbing a MAC 208 with this shade, and I'm just starting to actually map out my cut crease. I always go above my actual crease. That way when I open up my eyes, nothing kind of creases or looks weird. You know, you can still see the cut crease even if my eyes open. So that's what I'm doing. Then I grabbed an E36 by Sigma with the same In the Zone shade, and I'm just starting to blend out any harsh lines on top of the cut crease. Beneath the crease, you definitely want it to be just like a sharp, intense line. That's obviously what a cut crease is. But on top, you want to make sure it's blended, which is why I'm grabbing the 217 again with no additional product, just to blend out any harsh lines. I will say this technique that I usually do for my cut creases is kind of a bit much for this particular look, just because it ends up being a very small portion of your eye that is actually cut. Like it's a lot of work just for the small amount of actual cut crease that ends up showing in the end. So what I'm doing now is grabbing the 208 again, just doing the exact same thing with the matte black shadow in the palette, which is called Whiz. And yeah, again, just mapping out the cut crease and then going in with the E36 with the same, not with the same, yeah, with, I guess, with the same matte black shadow, just right on top, just to blend it out a little bit further. You'll see, and I mean, any cut crease look is going to be a whole bunch of blending, but I feel like with this one specifically, it's a lot more, just because you really need everything to be super coherent. And then of course I'm blending out again. The key with this look, I find, is to go in with your crease color, and whatever darkest color you have in your cut crease, that should be the color that you use on your inner and outer corner, just so that it looks like it's kind of meshing together really well. I will say that I wish that I stuck with just like dark browns for this rather than black, but you know what, you live and you learn. Now I'm grabbing my MAC Soft Ochre Paint Pot, which is what I always use for my cut creases, and I'm just going right underneath that cut crease line just to clean it up, make it super sharp. You can use concealer if you like. I personally don't like to use concealer because I find that all concealers crease on me, and since I'm not the kind of person who sets my concealer, or sets my base I should say, it ends up being like a mess basically. Now I'm going into the color Pure, which is the only light shade in the palette. That's one gripe that I do have with this palette, is the 3500 had like 20 light shades, and then this one has one. So I feel like they went from one extreme to the other. But I do like this shade, so I used it to highlight my brow bone. And then I'm going back into the color Whiz, and I'm going to use this on my inner and outer corners. I think this is like a small crease brush by Makeup Geek that I'm using to do that. And I'm just popping that on my inner and outer corners, and then I'm just going to kind of blend it in a little bit with my cut crease line. Because like I said, you definitely want it to be super coherent. You don't want it to just be like stark black on the inner corner and stark black on the outer corner. You definitely want it to kind of mesh together. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. Now going back into the palette, I'm going to grab our lid shade, which is the color Zippy. It's kind of like a warm gold shade with like slight copper undertones, and I'm taking it with a MAC 242 brush. I'm not spraying the brush with Fix Plus, and the reason for that is because getting up to go get the Fix Plus was just not on my agenda for today. It's just, I'm too lazy for that. So I'm just placing this right on the center of the lid, being careful not to go past our cut crease, and kind of blending it together with the black shade. And you definitely want to do this because if you don't, it's just going to look like a stark black, like I said 15 times, and that's not the look we're going for today. So I grabbed my NYX matte liquid liner, which you guys know is my favorite liquid liner of all time, and I'm just doing a kind of like a thin line on my lash line. I'm not doing a wing or anything. You could, of course, if you want to with halo eyes. I tend not to do that. But the reason I'm doing it for this look, or the reason I'm putting a line of liquid liner on for this look, is because I felt like there was a lot of space from my cut crease to my lash line, and it looked a little off. So I felt like this would kind of balance it out a little bit. Then I moved on to concealer. I'm using the Bare Skin Concealer by Bare Minerals. This concealer is definitely not full coverage, and nowadays with Alana keeping me up all night, I definitely need full coverage. But it's okay. It worked out for this look, so I'm just blending it out with a damp beauty blender. You guys know beauty blenders are everything to me. I would probably never switch from using a beauty blender in my life. Now to set, I'm using my DermaBlend Loose Setting Powder. This powder reminds me a lot actually of the RCMA No Color Powder, except the No Color Powder has horrific packaging and the No Color Powder is cheaper. So I mean, I guess choose what's important to you, you know? And then of course I'm just going to wipe away the baking powder with, I think this is the Sigma F35 brush. Any brush that you have, thank you Milkshake for that. Any brush that you have really will work. And now I'm grabbing my mascara. This is the Voluminous Lash Paradise. I've been obsessed with this mascara literally since the first time I tried it. I have not used anything else since, and I don't think I ever will. I mean, unless they come out with something better, obviously. For lashes, I'm using Creative Soul Cosmetics lashes in the style Ambitious. They are super intense, like probably the most intense lashes that I own. But I mean, I'm a lash kind of a girl. I love lashes. If you hear any jingling, by the way, it's because Milkshake is just running around. She just doesn't care. She doesn't care that people are busy right now. So what I'm doing for my inner corner is I'm grabbing the color Pure again, the only light shade on the palette, on my inner corner. It's a really beautiful, like, soft gold shade, so I do really like it for the inner corner. Usually for halo eyes, I don't do an inner corner highlight, but I felt like we had so much black going on that it would just kind of ground the look a little bit. Now I'm going in with Stomper by ColourPop. This is their cream gel liner formula. I love this formula so much. So much. I think this is like, that's great. I think this is just like one of the best eyeliner formulas next to my Marc Jacobs highliner, of course. But I mean, this is what, $6, and the Marc Jacobs is $25. So I'm just saying. So this is just like a dark brown, a little bit on the cool tone side. So I just popped that on my waterline. Now I'm grabbing the color Muddy with a Morphe flat definer brush, and I'm just using this to kind of blend out that pencil liner. I didn't want to do black on the lower lash line, just again because I felt like we had so much black already. I felt like it was just gonna look a little over the top. And now I'm going in with the color Brick with a small pencil brush. And I'm just going to blend out that dark brown on the lower lash line and kind of tie the upper lid together with the lower lash line. Just make it a little bit more smoky. You already know what it is. And now I'm grabbing my mascara again. Same Voluminous Carbon Black. Not Voluminous Carbon Black. Voluminous Lash Paradise. Did I say Voluminous Carbon Black before? Because I used to use that one all the time. But no, it's Lash Paradise. And I just popped that on my lower lashes. Now I'm moving on to contour. I'm using my Makeup Geek contour powders, which I love. You guys know I love. And my Nars Ita brush, which I still love. And I will probably always love. I know nobody really uses this brush anymore, but it's still everything to me. I think because I prefer such like an intense, like chiseled contour. But I'm using the color Half-Hearted by Makeup Geek. It's warm medium. And then I'm going in with cool medium, which is complicated, for my nose contour. And this brush that I'm using is by Hair and Makeup Addiction. It's like my favorite nose contour brush that I found thus far. It's kind of like an angled, fluffy shader brush. Just think about that and think if that makes sense to you. That's what it is. So I'm just using this to contour my nose. I do prefer something more cool tone on my nose. I feel like if I use something too warm, it just looks like bronzer and looks a little weird. So I tend to go more towards cool tone products. And now for my bronzer, I'm using Marc Jacobs Tantric bronzer. I love this bronzer so much, and I'm using my MAC 135 brush, which is my favorite bronzer brush that I've ever found. I don't think I've ever found anything that's even comparable to it. So I'm just using this to blend out my contour and of course warm up my forehead, you know, the temples, you know what to do. Now for blush, I'm using S310 by Makeup Forever. I recently picked these up and I am in love with them. They are so pigmented, so intense. They're just really blendable. They're beautiful. I'm using a Morphe angled brush. I think this is from the Gunmetal collection. I don't know the name of it, but I'm sure they only have one. Now for my highlight, I'm using H106, also by Makeup Forever, in that same palette. And I'm using a ColourPop brush that has no name on it, of course, because the ColourPop brushes don't have names on them. I'm not sure what they were thinking when they did that, but that's what they did. So I love this highlighter. I was not expecting it to be as intense as it is, but you can see, look at, and that's Alana. Honestly, I have Milkshake on one side, Alana on the other side. They're just going at it. Yes, I know. So I'm just popping this on my Cupid's bow and down the bridge of my nose, as I usually do with my highlighters. And now I'm going to move on to lips. I'm using a black liquid lipstick, which of course you don't have to do. But I love black liquid lipsticks. I feel like they're almost more neutral than actual nude lips, if that makes sense. I mean, of course you could do a nude. That would look amazing with this look also, but I want it to be a psycho. So of course I'm doing black. This is Jeffree Star Cosmetics Weirdo. And once you've got your lipstick on, then this look is complete. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye! Hi friends, welcome back. So today I'm bringing you guys another video, and this is going to be a first impressions on the new Huda Beauty, what is the name of this? Faux Filter